The sun was just rising over the dusty city of Bamako, casting an orange glow on the corrugated tin roofs. A woman with tired eyes but an overflowing heart of love was completing her daily ritual. She adjusted her wrap, securely tied her headscarf, and cast a final glance at her daughter sleeping on the worn mattress in the corner of their single room. A sad smile flickered across her lips. "May God give me strength," she whispered before leaving. I worked as a cleaning woman in a large hotel in the city. Every morning, before dawn, she would go to her workplace armed with courage and self-sacrifice. She wiped windows, scrubbed toilets, and ensured the rooms shone with cleanliness before the wealthy guests settled in. This thankless job was her only means of supporting Geneva, her only daughter, for whom she was ready to sacrifice everything. But Geneva did not see her mother's efforts. At 16, she dreamed of beautiful dresses, the latest phones, and a daily life where she wouldn't be mocked for her worn clothes and packed school bag. Her high school was filled with children of notables, ambassadors, and major merchants. She could no longer bear being the poor one, the one who had to lower her eyes when her friends talked about their trips to Dakar or Paris. In the evening, when her mother returned exhausted, Geneva would greet her with a look of contempt. "You smell bad, Mom," she exclaimed one day, pinching her nose. Startled, still holding her small plastic bag containing rice and dried fish, her only meal of the day. "Geneva, my daughter, I've just worked all day." "That's exactly the problem." The teenager cut her off, crossing her arms. "Why do you do this shameful work? Other mothers have shops, hair salons, they don't wash rich people's toilets." Felt her heart tighten. Her gaze searched for a hint of tenderness in her daughter's eyes, but all she found was disgust. She took a deep breath and placed her bag on the rickety table. "I do what I can so that you have food and can go to school. I want you to have a better future, Geneva." "A better future," she scoffed, "with a torn uniform and worn-out shoes. Do you think I can be proud of you like this?" Looked away, swallowing her tears. She gently approached and tried to place a hand on her daughter's shoulder, but Geneva pulled back as if afraid of being contaminated by her mother's poverty. "If only my father were here," Geneva muttered, almost to herself. Flinched at these words. Boubacar, this man who had abandoned them to their fate from the moment of the child's birth. This man who had never asked about his daughter. "Your father left us, Geneva." I stared. "And so what? Maybe he would have taken better care of me than you," the teenager shouted before slamming the door of the room. Remained alone, her eyes welling with tears. She leaned against the wall, sliding down to the floor. Her back was aching, her hands were calloused, and despite everything, she was met only with the contempt of the one for whom she would give everything. But despite the pain, she made herself a promise. She would continue to fight, even if her daughter did not see her sacrifices. Geneva could no longer bear her life. Each day at high school was torture. Her friends flaunted their latest smartphones, brand-name shoes, and brand-new clothes, while she wore the same worn-out outfits, hand-washed by her mother. She was tired of being the poor girl in the group, the one people looked at with pity or simply ignored. One day, on her way home from school, she stopped in front of a high-end phone store and stared longingly at the models displayed behind the glass. She dreamed of having one, of posting perfect selfies, of showing that she too could be someone important. "If only I had a real father," she whispered. For some time now, she had reconnected with Boubacar, her biological father, through a paternal aunt. The man she only knew through her mother's stories had spoken to her softly, promising her the world. "Your mother lied to you, Geneva. I never wanted to abandon you. It was she who kept you away from me." These words resonated within her like a truth she had always wanted to hear. And when he sent her a photo of himself in front of his sumptuous villa, surrounded by luxury cars, her heart filled with burning hope. "You are my daughter, you deserve a beautiful life. Come live with me, and everything will change for you." That night Geneva made her decision. She came home and found her mending an old dress under the flickering lights of a kerosene lamp. The smell of cheap soap and damp laundry filled the room. "Mom, I'm leaving." Looked up, surprised. "Where are you going, my daughter?" she asked, frowning. "To my father's." Silence fell in the room. Only the lamp's wick crackled softly. "Your father?" Awa repeated the word as if she couldn't believe it. Yes, he at least can give me the life I deserve. Awa slowly put down the needle and fabric on her knees. Jennifer, your father never looked for you. During all these years, he never cared about you. I'm the one who raised you, fed you, loved you. Loved me, Jennifer cut in with bitter irony. If you really loved me, you wouldn't have condemned me to this misery. Look at me, Mom. I'm a disgrace at school. The other girls laugh at me because I live in this miserable house, because my mother cleans toilets. Our tongue fell under the attack but remained motionless. I'd rather live with my father than end up like you, spending my life scrubbing other people's floors. These words struck her like a dagger. But before she could respond, Jennifer grabbed her small bag, where she had carefully folded her few clothes, and moved toward the door. Jennifer, wait. Awa pleaded, tears in her eyes. You don't know what you're doing. Your father doesn't love you like you think. Please don't go. Jennifer turned and stared at her coldly. I refuse to live under your curse. Stay here in your poverty if you want, but I'm going to finally live like a real chief's daughter. Without a backward glance, she opened the door and disappeared into the night. Awa remained frozen, feeling her heart break into 1,000 pieces. She fell to her knees, her throat tight, unable to hold back her sobs. Her daughter, her only treasure, had just rejected her for an illusion of wealth. But deep inside her, anxiety was growing. She knew that luxury came with a price. Jennifer could not believe her eyes. Before her, her father's villa stood proudly, imposing, surrounded by a high-wrought iron gate. The walls were painted a brilliant white, and an immense courtyard lined with palm trees stretched out to the main entrance. It was another world, a world she had always dreamed of inhabiting. Boubacar welcomed her with a satisfied smile. He wore a richly embroidered bubu and fine leather sandals. He placed a paternal hand on her shoulder and guided her inside. Welcome home, my daughter. Here, you will no longer have to suffer. The living room was a mixture of luxury and excess: velvet sofas, crystal chandeliers, an enormous television mounted on the wall, and an intoxicating fragrance lingered in the air. Jennifer immediately felt transported. All of this is mine too, she asked, her voice trembling with excitement. Boubacar laughed and stroked his chin. Obviously, my daughter, whatever you want I will give you. The very next day, Jennifer discovered the life she had always envied. Her father bought her an entire wardrobe filled with luxury clothes, sparkling jewelry, and most importantly, a cutting-edge phone. She rushed to create a new social media account, sharing selfies in her sumptuous room, posing by the pool, showing off her new handbags and outrageously expensive shoes. Very quickly, her life took an unexpected turn. At school, the looks changed. Those who had despised her yesterday now envied her. She was invited to private parties, received admiring messages. Jennifer, you're so stylish now, said a girl she had once admired from afar. You went to live with your father. Wow, you're so lucky. Jennifer savored every moment. She was finally respected, admired. Gone was the shame, gone was poverty. She had a new life and intended to enjoy it to the fullest. In the villa, everything was easy. She no longer lifted a finger. The domestic staff took care of everything. She was served sumptuous meals on silver platters, fresh pressed fruit juices every morning, and her bed was made before she even woke up. She spent her days between shopping trips and outings with her new friends. She spent her father's money without counting, buying the latest fashion accessories, imported perfumes, and gifts to impress those around her. Gradually, the memory of her mother faded. She no longer thought of her, of that narrow house, of the smell of cheap soap. Why would she? She finally had the life she had dreamed of. One evening, while dining on the terrace with some friends, a conversation began. So, Jennifer, why had you never talked about your father before? Asked a girl with carefully straightened hair. Yeah, we would never have guessed you were the daughter of such a rich man. Another added, laughing. Jennifer shrugged with a confident smile. I didn't want to talk about it before. My mother wanted to hide the truth from me. She wanted me to remain locked in her poverty. But fortunately, I understood in time. The others nodded with admiration. You did the right thing. Honestly, staying with a woman like that would have ruined your life. Jennifer laughed with them, not even feeling the twinge of pain that should have struck her hearing those words. She was finally free, powerful, envied. She did not yet know that all of this was just a mirage, and that behind this wealth was a price she was not prepared to pay. Evening was falling over Bubakar's sumptuous villa. Jennifer, dressed in a black silk dress, admired her reflection in the mirror of her luxurious bedroom. Her life was a waking dream. Yet that evening, her father made a strange request. "Get ready, we have an important place to visit." She raised an eyebrow. "What kind of place?" "Don't ask questions. Trust me." Intrigued, but flattered to be included in something important, Jennifer put on a jacket and followed her father to his tinted window car. The driver started, and soon the city and its lights gave way to a dark road lined with tall trees. Jennifer felt a shiver run down her spine. "Papa, where are we going?" "You'll understand soon." The heavy silence worried her. The further they went, the more she felt a dull anguish rising within her. Finally, after about 30 minutes, the car stopped in front of an isolated house, half hidden by vegetation. Bubakar got out without a word, inviting her to follow. As soon as she set foot on the ground, a strange torpor took hold of her. Her body felt heavy, her legs weak. "Papa, I don't feel well." Bubakar did not respond. He simply opened the door of the old house. Inside, candles flickered, casting unsettling shadows on the walls. A persistent smell of plants and blood hung in the air. Jennifer felt her heart accelerate. "What is this place?" she whispered. Before she could take another step, her vision blurred, and everything went black. Dash dash dash. She awoke with a start in her room, her body drenched in sweat. Her heart was racing, and she felt like she had just had a nightmare. But something was wrong. Her throat was dry, her body sore. A strange tingling ran across her skin. She got up with difficulty and moved toward the mirror. What she saw froze her. Her once luminous complexion now seemed dim, almost sick. Violet dark circles carved her face. And worse still, a nauseating odor surrounded her. "What is this?" she stammered, stiffening her wrists. She rushed to the shower, frantically scrubbing herself with soap, perfume, oils, but nothing worked. The smell persisted, even intensified. Over the days, her condition worsened. She began to have terrifying nightmares. Each night, she saw herself wandering barefoot in a dark forest, digging the earth with her own hands until a faceless silhouette emerged to drag her into darkness. But the worst was yet to come. Wounds appeared on her skin, first discreet, then gaping. Her body aged, her flesh seemed to deteriorate. When she went out, people looked at her with disgust, some even discreetly stepped back. One evening, as she was joining her friends for an outing, one of them grimaced and took a step back. "Jennifer, what is that smell?" The others scrutinized her, worried. She looked down at her hands and saw, horrified, that black patches covered her skin. "You should see a doctor," one of them suggested, uncomfortable. Jennifer felt a knot of anguish tighten her throat. The next day, she urgently went to the hospital. After several examinations, the doctor frowned. "I've never seen this," he whispered. "Your cells seem to be necrotizing for no apparent reason." "What does that mean?" she stammered, panicked. "It means your flesh is dying." A shiver of horror ran through her. She returned to the villa in tears, hoping to find comfort with her father. But when she crossed the saloon doors, Bubakar looked at her for a long time before turning his eyes away with disgust. "You can no longer stay here." The shock froze her in place. "What?" "Papa, it's me, Jennifer." "Look at yourself," he whispered coldly. "You are an abomination." She felt the ground give way beneath her feet. "You're the one who took me there. What did you do to me that night?" Bubakar did not respond. He made a gesture to the guards. "Take her away from here." Jennifer screamed, struggled, but the firm hands of the guards grabbed her and threw her outside. She remained there, lying on the dusty ground, under the indifferent gaze of the one she had believed to be her savior. She had just lost everything. Jennifer collapsed in the dust, her once luxurious clothes now crumpled and dirty. The heavy doors of the villa slammed shut behind her, brutally marking the end of her golden dream. She wanted to scream, to beg Bubakar not to abandon her, but she knew it was useless. He had cast her out like common trash, as if she had never meant anything to him. A cold wind blew through the night, stirring the dust around her. Her body trembled, not just from the cold, but from the terror that was consuming her. Where would she go now? She walked aimlessly, moving away from the villa that had once welcomed her. Each step was painful, her body weakened by the inexplicable illness that was consuming her. Her arms, covered in sores, burned, and the nauseating odor that surrounded her seemed to intensify. She returned to the neighborhood she once frequented, hoping to encounter her friends. But when she approached a group of young people she knew well, they immediately drew back. "Jennifer," one of the girls exclaimed, bringing a hand to her nose. "What happened to you?" Jennifer reached out to her, seeking comfort, but the other girl recoiled in horror. "Don't touch me." The other young people stared at her with contempt. "Look at her, she stinks," a boy said, laughing nervously. "She has nothing left, that's why she's here," another added with a malicious smile. Laughter spread through the group, cruel and cutting like a blade. Jennifer felt her heart break a little more. Just weeks ago, these same people were showering her with praise, seeking her friendship out of self-interest. Today, without her wealth, she was nothing in their eyes. She took a step back, feeling tears welling up. "You were my friends," she whispered. "Friends?" A girl scoffed, crossing her arms. "We hung out with you because you had money. But look at yourself now. You're an outcast." Whispers erupted. They called her curse, a harbinger of misfortune. Soon, a stone flew in her direction. Then another. Jennifer covered her face and fled, her heart in pieces. She ran without knowing where to go. Her bare feet struck the hard ground, her breath was short, her body was in pain. She had only one place left to go, a mother's home. "Mom," her stomach knotted with shame, thinking of everything she had said to her. How could she have been so cruel to the only person who had truly loved her? She quickened her pace, moving along dark alleys to the small house she had once despised. When she finally arrived at the modest dwelling's door, her heart was racing. She knocked once, twice. Silence. She knocked harder, anxiety rising within her. Finally, the door opened, but it was not Awa who appeared. An unknown young man looked at her with surprise. "Yes?" he asked. Jennifer felt an icy shiver run down her back. "Where is my mother?" she asked, her voice trembling. The man raised an eyebrow. "This house no longer belongs to that woman. She left a long time ago." The ground seemed to give way beneath Jennifer's feet. "Left? Where?" The young man shrugged. "I don't know. She disappeared overnight. Nobody knows where she went." Jennifer felt her legs give way. Her mother, the only person who might have taken her in, forgiven her, was gone. She fell to her knees on the threshold, tears of despair streaming down her cheeks. She had lost everything. Jennifer wandered through dark streets, her body battered, her soul in tatters. She was nothing more than a shadow of herself. Passers-by averted their gaze, fleeing her pestilential odor, whispering as she passed. The once admired girl was now a specter that no one wanted to approach. After hours of aimless walking, she reached a river lined with rocks. The water's murmur seemed soothing to her, contrasting with the tumult in her heart. She approached the edge, looked at her trembling reflection in the clear water. Her face was hollow, her skin marked with dark spots, her eyes devoid of light. She felt a weight crush her. Why continue to suffer? A tear rolled down her cheek. She no longer had a home, no family, no friends. Her father had rejected her, her former classmates had humiliated her, and her mother had disappeared. The pain was unbearable. As she was about to let herself fall into the river, a sob caught her attention. A little further away, a frail silhouette sat on a rock. It was a woman with eyes veiled by blindness, her body bearing the stigmata of unspeakable suffering. Her legs were atrociously mutilated, her back bent under the weight of a life of misery. She was crying, but these were not tears of despair. "Lord, I want to live," she pleaded in a trembling voice. "Even in this pain, even with nothing, let me live a little longer." Jennifer remained frozen. She, who had everything and despised it all, wanted to die. And this woman, who had nothing, was fighting to cling to life. A shiver ran down her spine. "Why are you crying?" she asked in a broken voice. The woman started slightly, then turned her mouth first towards her, as if she could see her despite her blindness. I cry because life is precious, my child. Because every breath is a gift. Jennifer felt her heart tighten. But, you are suffering so much. A sad smile formed on the woman's lips. Yes, I suffer. But I understood one thing, as long as my heart beats, I can still hope, still love, still redeem myself. The words resonated in Jennifer like a thunderclap. Redeem herself. She thought of her mother, of her look filled with sadness the day she left. Of everything she had said to her, of how she had despised her. How had given her everything, and in return, she had betrayed her. A piercing pain gripped her chest. I was a horrible girl, she whispered. The woman stretched out a trembling hand towards her. It is never too late to change. Jennifer felt a tear roll down her cheek. She took the old woman's hand and squeezed it. Thank you. Then everything went black. Dash dash dash. She woke up with a start, gasping. Daylight filtered through the shutters of the small house. The familiar smell of cheap soap filled the air. She was lying on her mattress, the one she had always known. Her heart rest. She looked at her hands. No more wounds, no more pestilential odor. Was all of this just a dream? The dull beating of her heart echoed in her temples. Was it a warning? A message from destiny? She got up hastily and opened the bedroom door. In the main room, Awa was there, sitting on a mat, sorting millet grains. She looked up as she saw her daughter awake. Jennifer, you're awake. You were sleeping so deeply. Are you okay, my child? Jennifer felt her legs tremble. Tears welled up in her eyes. She rushed to her mother and fell to her knees before her, pressing her calloused hands against her forehead. Mom, forgive me. Awa remained still for a moment, surprised by this sudden supplication. Jennifer, what's happening? I was ungrateful, Mom. I wanted to flee from you, to despise you. But I understood. I understood that you are the only true wealth I have. Tears streamed down her face. Awa felt her heart tighten. She placed a soft hand on her daughter's head and drew her close. My child, I never held anything against you. You are my daughter, and I will always love you. Jennifer broke down in sobs, nestled in her mother's arms, realizing that she had just received the most beautiful of blessings, a second chance. Jennifer remained nestled in her mother's arms for a long time, tears rolling down her cheeks like a purifying rain. She clung to her, as if afraid that she might disappear again, that she would wake up in the nightmare where she had lost everything. Awa, though surprised by this sudden explosion of emotions, gently caressed her daughter's hair. Her heart beat strongly in her chest. How long had it been since she had felt Jennifer this close to her? Finally, Jennifer lifted her head, her eyes red and swollen from crying. She took her mother's hands in her own, feeling their roughness, these hands won by work, by sacrifices. Mom, I disrespected you. I spat on your love, on your efforts, on everything you did for me. Awa opened her mouth to speak, but Jennifer shook her head, refusing to be interrupted. Let me finish. She took a deep breath. I believed that wealth was in gold, in clothes, in cars. I believed poverty was a curse, that you were an obstacle to my success. But I was completely wrong. She lowered her eyes to their joined hands. The real wealth was you, Mom. Your love, your sacrifices, everything you endured for me. And instead of loving you in return, I humiliated you. I rejected you as if you were a burden. Awa's eyes glistened with tears, but she remained silent, letting her daughter pour out her heart. When I thought I had lost you, I understood how stupid I had been. How much I loved you, how much I needed you. She raised her head and looked deeply into her mother's eyes. Please, Mom, forgive me. Awa felt her heart contract. My child, she whispered. She gently wiped the tears from Jennifer's face, a sad but tender smile on her lips. I never held anything against you. You are my blood, my flesh. How could I not forgive you? Jennifer felt a wave of emotion wash over her. I promise you, Mom. I will never disrespect you again. I will never leave you again. I will be there for you, as you have always been there for me. Awa smiled and kissed her on the forehead. It's not to me that you make this promise, my daughter. It's to yourself. Jennifer nodded, understanding the depth of her mother's words. The days that followed were filled with gentleness and serenity. Jennifer became involved in the house, sharing tasks with her mother, finally appreciating the moments she had once despised. She accompanied her to the market, helped her wash the laundry, took the time to listen to her childhood stories that she had once found boring. She realized that happiness was not found in the gilded halls of a palace, but in the warmth of a sincere home. One evening, as they shared a simple meal of rice and dried fish, Jennifer put down her spoon and looked at her mother gravely. "Mom, I've learned a lesson I will never forget." Our looked up, curious. "And what is that, my daughter?" Jennifer smiled softly. "True wealth is not money. It's not what one possesses. True wealth is love, sacrifice, and family. Nothing is worth the sincere love of those who love us unconditionally." Awa took her hand and nodded. "You have finally understood, my child." Jennifer squeezed her mother's hands and smiled, her heart finally at peace. She had lost everything in her dream, to understand that she had never lacked anything.